What's up, everyone? Matt Vanacoro here, checking out Vreeds from Acoustic Samples. If you haven't checked this out yet, this is a Wurlizer 200 library that you can run in UVI Workstation or Falcon. It's a great combination of samples and physical modeling, and it's incredibly lightweight. It's like 60 megabytes. It's really small, and it doesn't really hit your CPU as hard as most physical modeling instruments do. So I'm kind of used to trading off that RAM footprint and storage footprint for a big old smack on the CPU. But even with like large chords and even some sustained stuff, it really never went above like 5 or 6% CPU usage. So it's hanging in there. It really sounds fantastic. I'm going to jump around a little bit and just check out some of the things. So as you can see, it's got a nice little artwork display here. Everything looks really nice. You can switch between the two different instruments right on the front. I actually like the 200A a little better. Just my own preference, but our presets are located right here, so it's kind of out of the way, which is very nice. It's not taking up a big area of the graphic interface. You can jump in and get those acoustic feel. Let's do a little playing live. As you can hear, you got that nice acoustic click going on, so easy to adjust the acoustic sound to make you feel like you're more in the room with the instrument, which I really appreciate. I like being able to not just flip that on, but have a nice sort of continuous adjustment of it, because, depending on the track, I may want the idea of the Vreeds of the Wurlizer to be out front, or I might want it to be pulled back just a little bit. So we got our volumes there, our EQ, quick little EQ, bass, treble. Of course, there's lots of other ways that you can customize the sound other than that, but this is just for those quick adjustments right at the beginning. Nice little vibrato adjustment. So that's a little deeper. We control the depth or switch it to speed. And again, I kind of dig the reuse of the knobs rather than having separate ones, because as you start to add in a lot of that stuff, the knobs get smaller and smaller. I don't really need to adjust a lot of it that quickly. If I want a MIDI, map it, whether you're in Falcon or UVI Workstation, it's easy enough to just right-click, and now that's it. It's automatable by the host, or you can adjust it with whatever knob on your MIDI controller you want, and you can adjust the depth and the speed, so now I'm not controlling the speed, but if I right click it, of course, now I'm controlling depth and speed at the same time. Which is kind of nice, can give you that all-in-one control all at once. You can turn the amp simulation on and off right from here, so now, you've got lots of control over the amp. So I don't have to just live with the amp off or on. I've got lots of choices in terms of the amp. And as I said before, you can adjust the sound a lot more than just the little quick EQ on the front. These buttons here are holding a lot of functionality behind them. So it's kind of nice. They're out of the way, but when you click one, it really just takes over the whole screen. Now we're controlling the DI amount, the amp amount. I can adjust the noise volume of the amp. If you listen right now, you can get that nice, good old, well, that sounds like when I plug in one of my Fender Strats, to be honest. So we can get it in mono, get it in stereo, mic it in stereo. There we go. Pull the noise a little back. I don't really need that much. And I've got lots of different models of speakers, so I can use the 200 speakers, the 206A cabinet. You can even pop it through a nice little Fender twin reverb amp. And I like that. It's got a nice sort of glassy sound to it. I can adjust the way that my keyboard is responding right here under the MIDI section. So what's cool is that you can draw your own curve in a little bit if you want it to scoop out a little in terms of, the middle samples. And then you can smooth that curve so it's not so rough. you can see what the velocity in and velocity out is doing. So you saw that, like, as I was hitting 78, it was putting out 62. So I was in the middle of that little hump in the middle where I wanted it to pull back a little bit. Of course, there's some presets provided, and I'm digging that too. But one of the really neat things is the ability to record your own. So you can sort of record your own velocity level, and then you can just pop it, and there we go. That's where I'm going. If I want to change it a little bit, I can do that too. So I can take that curve and sort of do that and adjust and smooth it out. And there's the curve for my keyboard that really lets you have some nice little soft on the soft end though. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the regular curve. I actually kind of like the soft high one. I really dig in this curve because I can really get some nice ballad tones out of it. And then when I want to hit it hard, so I'm digging that too. Now, in addition to the MIDI options, we've got some effects here. I skipped over that a little bit, but let's jump back. And, we've got one of, I think, is one of the most important effects for a Wurlitzer, which is that phaser sound, man. You got to have it. So gotta have it. With the wah, we've got a nice auto wah, which I'm digging. So if you don't have a continuous control pedal, but if you do have a continuous control pedal, or if you wanted to automate it, you could, of course, right-click that wah and then move your favorite button or knob or slider on your MIDI controller. Of course, right now, since I don't have a pedal hooked up, that's taking away one of my hands, but, totally up to you. You just get it going with a pedal. Finally, in the preferences menu, man, we've got a lot going on here. You can actually adjust this stuff, I love it, on a per note basis. And I'm really digging that because when you're playing some of the more, subtle tunes, you can take that middle of the keyboard area and, give it a little bit more bell if you want to, if that's where you're going to comp, and then you can pull a little bit of it out on the, the upper area. So right now it's selecting by MIDI. You can adjust a certain note, and I could take these notes right here and just go in a row, and just go, okay, more bell, more bell, more bell. And you can adjust the tuning, like you can destabilize the top a little bit if you want to really get a classic sound. So if you look, you've got now, there you go, the bell adjusted. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. For those of you that might be going, oh my God, I don't want to do that one note at a time. Well, you don't have to. So you can just go ahead and adjust all notes and crank that bell sound up. So I kind of expected that there would be a lot of adjustments because with the physical modeling idea, you've got a lot of variables that you want to be able to adjust to craft that final sound, since you're not dealing with tons and tons of, just simple straight up samples that are scripted to play in a certain way. So got a reed pickup and distance, the pedal volume, which I love too. So if I hit the sustain pedal, you hear the sound of those notes, sound of the keyboard itself, and I'll raise the volume. You can even adjust the resonance of the frame inside the keyboard. Really crazy. I love it. So right there, a lot of choices right there, and I can pull myself out. And there's a lot of great presets here. They've got some really wacky ones with heavy effects on them. I like that. I dig that because, I like to get a lot out of my sample libraries. And although I do like having, I like the idea of having the definitive Vreeds library, I also dig the idea that, it doesn't have to sound like a Wurlitzer 200. I mean, I can definitely get it to sound like something else. So the heavy effects are really, really fun. And I dig the demos presets too. So if you want to jump in there and apply some, you want to play some of those famous tunes that used that sound. So I find that fun too. So it's a really great instrument, and it's lightweight. It's not only light on the CPU, but light on the space on your hard drive, and it responds really well. This is a home run for Acoustic Samples for sure. I'm really digging their whole entire sort of vintage keyboard library lately. I'm a big user and big fan of B5, so I really had high expectations when I saw this library announced, and I am glad that I was not disappointed. So check out Vreeds from Acoustic Samples.